You believe your newly constructed home is haunted. What do? Do you try to rough it out, or do you move on and seek peace in another home? This is the plight of the people in today's video. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Welcome to another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. In this installment, we will be hearing about the case of Jim and Kay Tatum. This case first aired on the October 26, 1988 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. As I get older, I will go on record and say at this point I do not think this is a legitimate paranormal case. When I was younger, I thought this was a true blue case of a haunting, but I cannot believe that anymore. I think this is a case of a couple who got over their heads and they needed a way out. Therefore, they developed the story of this entity. However, that's just my opinion. My part of this video is to read the Wiki to everyone, and it'll be your job to ultimately decide if this is a legitimate case or not. Now it is time to go to the case information. Okay, it is now time for the case information. The name of this case is actually known as the Tatum House. The location is Marietta, Georgia. The case classification is the unexplained. I'm putting this under paranormal phenomenon. The type of phenomenon, this is either ghost or poltergeist. The date of the phenomenon ranged between the years of 1986 to 1988. Is the case available on YouTube? Yes, you can actually find this case under Season 1, Episode 14. The original television air date of this episode was October 26, 1988, and currently the case status remains unsolved. That's the kind of the way it always is with these unexplained cases. I don't think I've ever seen a ghost case that was actually solved, because it's kind of hard to prove or kind of disprove ghosts. They're unexplained basically. So this case was unsolved, and I have the case promo right here.
In Atlanta, Georgia, the peaceful retirement of an elderly couple has been shattered by unexplained noises and apparitions.
Okay, so after these commercials, I will be here with the case reading.
RPMs, RPMs.
It's Batman and Joker in their ultimate showdown, racing their Batman RPMs through death-defying stunts. Only the winner will survive.
Bullseye for Batman, Black Eye for Joker.
Batman RPMs from Tonka.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great day. If you are new to this series, basically this is a series where I will go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki and I will look up the case and then I will read it to everybody. And we'll see if there's been any real updates. So let's get cracking, shall we? So let's do this. There we go. Let's go. Oh, actually, I got it right here. Tatum House. Okay. So, I may pause or stop recording every now and then to take a quick drink of water, which I'll do right now. That way, my throat will stay a little bit moist, because some of these cases actually do get pretty long and everything. Tatum House. Here, hold on, let's actually do this. Boom. Okay, Tatum House. Location, Marietta, Georgia. The date was January 1986 to 1988. Description: the Tatum House is a two-story contemporary style house. It is located in Marietta, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. Here we have a picture of Kathy and Jim Tatum, or Kay and Jim Tatum, however you want to pronounce it. They saw a video, not a video. They saw when Kay went into the bathroom, she turned around and she actually saw somebody walk past her when she was in the bathroom. She originally thought it was her husband. And then we have the famous bell. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bell. you're wondering, what does this bell do? And basically, the bell was used as like a signal to Kay or Kathy, how you want to pronounce her name. That basically her husband, or no, maybe it was the other way around. Kathy would ring the bell to let Jim know that basically she was awake. Well, the bell would start going off, and Jim would go upstairs, and Kathy would still be asleep. Well, he basically told her that they would, for her to ring a specific pattern. The ghost or poltergeist or whatever it is apparently heard of this pattern, and it rang the bell the same way. Okay. Okay, history. James, Jim, and Catherine Kay Tatum have always considered themselves to be stable, rational people. Well, apparently only irrational people are the ones that see ghosts. That always drives me nuts. It's like, oh, we're level-minded. We would never see anything like that. It's all the crazy people that see ghosts or UFOs or whatnot. He was a career U.S. Army officer, and she was an accountant. In 1985, they built a house in the new Colbridge Court housing development in a quiet suburb of Marietta, Georgia, near Atlanta. They planned to retire there, but 5 months after they moved in, they began to experience unusual events that forced them to put their house up for sale. Can you imagine what it'd be like spending thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to have your dream home built, only to move out roughly a little after 5 months? I'd be like, no, motherfucker, this is my home. I'm gonna stay and fight until the bitter end. I may die of a stroke, like that girl did in the Black Hope Curse case, but I'm not gonna fucking run. I refuse to let a ghost fucking chase me out of my home. One night in January 1986, around 2:30 a.m., Kay woke from a restless sleep. Not wanting to disturb Jim, she left their bedroom and went to the hall bathroom. Once inside, she sensed a strange presence. She turned around and saw a man walking past the doorway towards the stairs. Thinking it was Jim, she said, "Jim, I'm in here." She followed him down the hallway and called him several times. When she reached the top of the stairs, he was gone. She went back into their bedroom and found Jim asleep in bed. Kay thought a burglar was in the house. Jim grabbed his gun and searched the home. He checked the doors and windows, but they were locked. He found no signs of forced entry or evidence that anyone else had been there. He wondered if Kay had imagined the man. As the night passed on, Kay lay awake and wondered if she was fearful and perplexed about what had happened. While tossing and turning, she suddenly remembered that she had heard no sound when the man passed her. She described him as a solid figure with a slightly tilted head. He wore a long overcoat and a floppy hat over his face. He swung his arms lightly as he briskly walked by. She believed he was not human. She could not think of a rational explanation for her sighting. Now, hold on. I want to scroll up. Okay, now this isn't the best picture we have, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't really see like a coat, and I sure as hell don't see a hat. Do you guys see a coat or hat? I'm not sure if this information. Hold on. I'm not sure if this information was. Let's see. Let's go back down. I'm not sure if this information about an overcoat and floppy hat was, like added via added like via interviews or whatever. But I don't recall seeing a floppy hat or a coat on that figure. Okay. After Kay's first experience, 2 months passed without incident. Then one night in March, Jim was repairing a ladder that led up to their attic. They literally just had the house built and they're having to already do repairs. This was like 5 months. Well, hold on. 2 months passed. So let's say 7 months roughly. 7 months roughly, and he's already having to do repairs. I'd be kind of questioning the construction company. I'm like, hey, it's not even a year, and I'm having to start fixing shit. You know, isn't there like a warranty when it comes to building a house? He planned to bolt the board to the bottom of the ladder to prevent it from digging into the hallway carpet. I don't see how that is repairing a ladder. It sounds like he was adding something onto the ladder, but hey, you do you. You do you. However, his work was interrupted when Kay called him for dinner. He unplugged his power drill and leaned it against the wall. The drill was old. He thought it would be dangerous to leave it plugged in. That evening, Jim watched a movie while Kay went upstairs to read. An hour later, she heard the drill outside her room. It sounded like someone was playing with it and turning it on and off. She thought Jim was teasing her about seeing a ghost, so she ignored the noise. Eventually, she went into the hallway. It was empty. The drill was unplugged and propped up against a wall. She reached down and felt the drill. It was ice cold and had not been turned on. Frightened, Kay had Jim come upstairs, but they could not find an explanation for what she had heard. Her experiences confused him. He knew something was happening because she was very level-headed and she was truly frightened. She was convinced something unexplained was happening in their house. I'm honestly thinking, hold on, let's zoom in. There we go. Hold on. There. Let's see here. I part of me originally wants to think that this was all in her head. Part of me wants to think that this was all in her head. However, I cannot say that it's all in her head because the fact is that Jim starts having, encounter, or at least one known encounter with whatever this entity is. Basically the bell ringing. However, I will go on record and say I do not think that this is legitimate. Here's what I think it is. Here's what I think it is. I think Jim and Kay got in over their head. They originally had the money to build this house. They originally had the money to build the house. What they failed to realize was that it sounds like they were both retired. Maybe their retirement funds was not enough to afford the cost of the house, yearly, taxes and all that, bills, and so forth. They probably got in over their head, which isn't anything uncommon. People get in over their head all the time. They got in over their head. They realized that they could not afford this house. They could not afford the property. They could not afford the taxes. And the only thing they figured that they could do was let's just sell the house. And while they were trying to sell the house, they realized maybe they didn't have enough money to survive. Maybe all of their money that they had in retirement could have been in investments or whatever, but they were not able to. They were not able to be self-sufficient enough. So what do? They saw that there was a fledgling show called Unsolved Mysteries. They thought that there was a show. They saw that show called Unsolved Mysteries, and they thought, we will tell them about this entity. Hopefully, we will get on the show, and we may make enough money from our appearance. It could help us survive until we can get this house sold. The house, the property, whatever there is attached to this house, we could sell it. That's probably what they did. Now, do I have proof of this? No, I don't have proof of this. It's just my feelings. Like I said, my job here is to basically read to you the Wikipedia. I'm going to give you my thoughts, but ultimately, the final decision comes up to you. You can either, you can believe it, whatever you want. I'm just giving you my thoughts, and I'm reading to you what it says right here. No incidents occurred for several weeks, so Kay thought things had finally returned to normal. Then one night, while watching TV alone in her bedroom, she heard what sounded like static electricity in the middle of the room. She described it as a popping in the air. She turned off the TV and to find the noise's source. As she walked around the room, the noise seemed to move with her. She backed into a corner, and the noise went up to her face. She ducked under it and ran downstairs to get Jim. She had him check the room, but the noise was gone. A few days later, Jim and Kay left on a 2-month vacation. After they returned, they had no strange incidents for several weeks. Then, as they prepared for a trip to Florida, Kay had her first physical encounter with the entity. That night, she was putting casserole in the microwave. She felt 2 tugs on the bottom of her blouse. She turned around thinking that it was Jim, but he was outside. Now, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen the case itself. I'm going to put the link to the case in the description below. I don't think that they mentioned that they went on vacation. They did mention the entity was tugging at her blouse, but I don't recall them saying that they went on vacation, because I think I may be wrong, but wasn't in the video, if I remember correctly, it went from the drill to, I think it was the drill to the blouse to the bell. I think that was the timeline of what the video did. But anyway, let's continue on. Let's see, he was outside. Okay, the occurrences seemed to center around Kay. She often felt cold spots in the upstairs hallway and one of the guest bedrooms. She felt her hair stand on the back of her neck. When she entered the room, she almost felt like it was infringing upon someone else's room. Or like she was infringing on someone else's room. She felt uncomfortable and did not like to linger in it. Let's see here. In February 1988, Jim finally had his first experience. It involved a small angel bell in their second guest bedroom. He had a habit of waking hours before Kay and going to the family room to read the newspaper. The family room was far from their bedroom, so it was difficult for him to hear her if she called for him. Instead, they decided she would ring a bell if she needed him upstairs. One morning, Jim heard the bell ring. He went upstairs and discovered Kay asleep in bed. He entered the guest bedroom and found the bell in its usual spot. When she woke later, he told her about what he had heard. She denied ringing the bell. He figured that he had heard something other than the bell. A few days later, the bell rang again. When Jim reached the top of the stairs, the ringing stopped. He looked in the guest room, and the bell was still there. When he started walking down the stairs, the bell rang again. After the third time this happened, he and Kay created a code to outwit the entity. He would only come upstairs if she rang the bell 3 times. Then, one morning, the bell rang 3 times. Jim thought it was Kay because it was their signal. But when he came upstairs, she was sound asleep. He went into the guest room and looked at the bell. When he turned around and left the room, the bell rang again. So this entity's fucking with the guy at this point. At that point, the hair stood on his neck, and he was frightened. He finally understood how Kay felt. Jim told Kay he would not respond to the bell anymore. The bell has not rung since. He found no rational explanation for his experience. It was a turning point for him because it made him realize there were unexplained things in this world. Okay. 4 months. Jeez, oh my God. The entity remained dormant. Then one night in May, Kay went upstairs to read. While lying down, she heard coins dropping in a bowl. Jim had a wooden bowl in their room where he put his pocket change. She assumed it was him, but when she turned towards the bowl, he was not there. She ran downstairs and got him, but the sound stopped once they got back upstairs. It sounds like this saying, if there was an entity there, I think it was just fucking with them at the most, you know. I don't think this is anything malicious like the fucking Black Hope ghost. Now that ghost was fucking evil. Oh God, I can't recall what the other one was. And it's one of the ghost cases I love. I can't recall the name of it right now. It's the one with the bunk beds. Now that was a scary fucking case. Okay, Kay believes the entity enjoyed teasing her and Jim. She noticed that the entity stops whenever she is alert and looking for something to happen. But whenever she forgets about it or is engrossed in something else, it starts up again. My whole thing is, what if this is like, say, like, she's like telepathic or telekinetic and she doesn't realize it? Anyway. Late one evening, Jim was downstairs while Kay got ready for bed. When she turned off her bedside lamp, she heard her water glass and tray move on the nightstand. I can't recall the video mentioning this. When she did not turn to look at it, a pack of Tums started dropping onto the tray one at a time. Once she turned around and paid attention to the noise, they stopped. One week, Jim and Kay swapped houses with another couple. See, now, I don't recall this in the video either. 3 nights into their stay, the couple was jarred awake in the guest bedroom by a loud, persistent ringing. It was from an electric alarm clock in the main bedroom. They examined the clock, but could not figure out why it went off. They also could not understand why it went off only once, 3 days after they arrived. Jim and Kay feel their home is no longer their own. They have decided to move, leaving the entity to live there alone. See, this is where I come in. Like, if it was me, if my apartment, which I love, if my apartment was haunted, I would literally stay here till the bitter end. I would have to, that entity would have to kill me for me to leave this apartment. Background. Jim and Kay's house is on an old homestead. On June 22nd, 1864. A Civil War battle, the Battle of Kolb's Farm, was fought nearby. A few days later, on June 27th, the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain occurred nearby. Between the two battles, there were over 5,000 casualties. They were nearby. It wasn't even like near where the house was. It just says fought nearby. I'm sorry, I'm not really buying it. Investigations. Experts believe that Jim and Kay were the victims of poltergeist activity. Some experts believe that such activity is caused by psychokinesis, a hidden psychic power in a person's mind that unconsciously moves objects through space. Now, if I was to believe anything, I would believe that it could be Kay and it could be psychokinesis. But I just don't think anything paranormal is happening. I think it was just 2 people that got in over their head, and it happens. 2 people got in over their heads, and they did not know how to basically get out, and they developed this story. Jim and Kay asked parapsychologist Dr. William Rowell for help. He visited the house to interpret the events and determine the reason behind their experiences. He did not know if a ghost was haunting the house or if something else like psychokinesis was occurring. He notes that many people have had psychic experiences. He theorizes that residual memories can be transferred to physical objects and then triggered by ordinary people. Dr. Roll notes that many haunting cases are not very striking, but are still disturbing to the family. The events may be trivial, but they can deeply upset the family because they do not fit into the family's picture of the world. He notes that the image of the physical world, particularly of our home, is instinctually related to who we picture ourselves as being. Extra notes. This case first aired on the October 26, 1988 Halloween episode of Unsolved Mysteries, along with the Queen Mary Tallman House. That's what it was, the Tallman House. I love the Tallman House. That's an awesome case. And the General Wayne Inn, that's also one of my favorite cases. Jim and Kay asked that Unsolved Mysteries not show the outside of their house as they were trying to sell it. However, they allowed the show to film inside. It was described in greater detail in the book Haunted America by Michael Norman and Beth Scott. Some sources state that Jim and Kay both woke up to go to the bathroom when she saw the man, and 1 month passed between the first and second incidents. Results: unsolved. In 1993, Jim and Kay moved to Winter Springs, Florida. Sadly, on March 14, 2001, Kay passed away at the age of 73. And in January 2005, Jim passed away at the age of 82. Others near Jim and Kay's home have also experienced supernatural events. On the night of October 8, 2007, a father and son were driving through Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield when they saw a Union Army cavalry officer on their horse. This has nothing to do where the house actually is. They're talking about battle sites that were nearby, that were not on the fucking property where the house is. I'm sorry, I'm not going to fucking buy this case that, it's haunted when the incidents were nearby. Their own words were that it was nearby. It didn't actually happen at the house where the property was that the house was. Hell, going by this logic, there is a high school. There is a high school about 6 blocks to the east where I live. Let's say 5 students tragically died there one day. The school is haunted. And because of that, they can say that my house is haunted because something bad happened over there. No, I am not buying that. I'm not buying that. As much as people want to believe that everything is a fucking haunting, sometimes it's not. It's just sometimes people are trying to get out of their responsibilities. The father stopped the car, and a soldier on the horse passed right in front of them. The soldier and horse then went across the road, through a fence, and disappeared. Like I said, this was not where the house was. This was nearby. If they could actually say, well, on the plot of land where the house was, they saw fucking Dumbo, the skeleton of Dumbo, flying, doing circles on nearby on the just above the house, let's say, doing fucking circles. Then I'd possibly believe it. If they said they saw a Confederate soldier blasting a Union soldier in the chest with a musket rifle, and it was where the front door of the house was, I'd possibly believe that. But with them saying, oh, the Kennesaw here, mountain range over there, no. I do not buy it. Okay. Time to look at the links. And we really don't have that much here. Let's see here. Kay's obituary. What do we got? Apparently we have nothing. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see here. Oh, wow, it's a long thing. I'm not going to read all of it, but this is her. Apparently this is... no thanks. Return to home. Turn homepage? Okay, well, basically, they haven't... I can't read it because I'm not going to pay for that. No thanks. Let's see here. Let's see if I can actually pull up Kay Tatum. Find a grave. Kay Barnes, Tatum, Jane. I'm wondering if... Oh, that's 1920. Jane and Kay, Stuart Tatum. Apparently they don't have it. You would think that they would. She would have been Mary Kate. That's Kate. Okay, but that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Sadly, there wasn't any. There's these links, but I'm not going to click on them. But I gave you my thoughts. I just do not think that this is a haunting. I think what it was people who, probably were in debt and they were needing to get out of that debt, and they were going to do anything possible to get out of that debt. But ultimately, that is up to you for you to decide. I can't tell you what to say or what to think. Like, you can't tell me what to say or what to think. I'm here to read to you the case. I give you my opinions, and then it's ultimately up to you to decide what it is and what it is not. When I return, it will be with my final thoughts.
When an out-of-touch dad tries to be an up-to-date dude, he gets in over his head. Every ploy to pick the perfect husband for his daughter backfires on him. And the generation gap really gets ripped.
Why don't you just try to relax a little?
Kurt Russell and Bob Crane star in Superdad. Where he goes, so go the laughs.
Friday at 7 after MASH on Channel 31.
Time for my final thoughts. Excuse me. Basically, this is where I give you my final thoughts. Do I think that ghosts exist? I do believe that. I believe that something is out there. But I cannot literally say that every time I hear a case, I cannot say ghost, 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 ghost. Because the more you say something is a ghost case or it's paranormal, it starts to water it down. And without any real solid evidence, and a lot of these cases don't have solid evidence. It's when you watch the cases and you hear the people talking, you can, I think after a while you can determine if the people are being truthful or not. St. James Hotel, yeah, to me that's a legitimate haunting. The Tallman House, legitimate haunting. Black Hope Curse, fuck yeah, because there's multiple houses, if I remember correctly. Tatum House, no, it's not. At least to me. But I just cannot blindly label everything as paranormal just because somebody goes, I heard chains dropping in a bowl. The power drill revved up. My blouse was tugged on, or my shirt in this example. My shirt was tugged on. I cannot, just easily buy into everything. But it seems like the family, it seems like Jim and Kay Tatum were ultimately happy because they moved to Winter Springs, Florida. Which is like, how much money do these people actually have? They paid to buy the land. They paid to have the house built. Having a house built isn't cheap. They were able to, and maybe it was because they sold the house and the property, and they were able to use that to move to Winter Springs. But at least it seems like that they were ultimately happy where they moved and everything. So I gotta say, at least they were happy. If this was a ghost, at least they were able to get away from it. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the case of Jim and Kathy Tatum, aka the Tatum House. It is now time for the next installment. Next installment. This is actually a little bit of a sad case for me. It involves the case of Dan Willens. Dan Willens was your old-fashioned, old-world prospector. He loved to go out there and pan for gold. You're saying, Jeff, how can you be sad? Why are you sad about this case? 2 reasons. Dan Willens died. He died and he was never located. That's pretty sad in its own. However, what really made this sad is I think this is a lost heirs case. And as you know, Unsolved Mysteries showed a lot of cases in the past where you would have somebody who passed away that had like a large estate, and they were trying to find the people of that estate. What is truly sad is that they found some people that could be related to Dan Willens. And they didn't. Unsolved Mysteries did not paint this person in the best of light, in my opinion. They made the person who I'll talk about in the next installment. They made this person really sound kind of selfish, basically. And I can't go, say exactly what he said, but he's like, the Canadian government is holding Dan Willens' money. And if we are related to Dan Willens, then that's our money and we should have that money. Or something along that line. And I'm sitting here, I watched this case. This is the case I like to watch a lot of. I'm watching this case and I'm thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, how greedy are you? You have a long lost family member here. Yes, he passed away. Me, if it was me, I learned I had a long lost family member. I would like to try and get to know that person. It's like, wow, who is this guy, Because honestly, I don't have that many family members that are left alive still, I should say. So, to even hear about another family member who, is dead, I would like to know about who was this guy? What did he do? Where did he live? Like that sort of stuff. If he had money, that'd come like secondary. But I would like to know, like, oh my God, I had another uncle. I had a brother, possibly. I had a long lost nephew or whatever. I would really like to know that stuff. But this guy, he's like, if they have money, then it's our money. And we would really like to have our money. It's like, motherfucker. You didn't even know this guy existed until some people alerted you. And the first thing you fucking mentioned in your interview is fucking money? I think it was the first thing he mentioned. It's like he makes it about the money. He makes it about the money, and that just fucking rubs me the wrong way. It fucking rubs me the right way. The wrong way. And the thing is, as of recording this, I don't think the person turned out to be a relative of Dan Willens, which I gotta say is fucking good. Fucking good. Because by the sounds of it, the only thing that this guy fucking cared about wasn't Dan Willens as a person or what he did, or anything. It's what he could get from Dan Willens. And that just fucking pisses me off. That just pisses me off. Really? You have a possible new family member. Yes, he's dead. And all you can think about is the millions of dollars this guy had. What kind of fucking loser are you? Fucking greedy piece of shit is what this guy is. Jeff, you shouldn't say that. That's not nice. Well, too fucking bad. That's why I have the goddamn warning at the beginning of every one of these videos. Anyway. Here is the promo for that case.
In 1936, a Canadian gold prospector vanished, leaving an unclaimed fortune that may be worth $3 million.
Okay, so these promos are always kind of short. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches these videos. It means a lot to me. And as always, if you like what you watch, feel free, excuse me, goddamn hiccups. If you like what you watch, which I hope that you did, feel free to click on that like button, click the subscribe, and you'll be alerted when I release new content. I'm going to back on out. I'll get this uploaded, and I will see you next time for the next installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. Stay safe. Peace out.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death among teenagers. Take the time to learn the warning signs.